Thank you for joining me on my next adventure camping. I'm at the Cedar Hill campground. It's a real nice place. It's really beautiful on Lake Charlotte. I've had a lot of fun here. Trying something new today. You'll get to see a new experience for me as well. A couple of months ago I bought a rooftop tent and mounted it on top of my truck, and I took several trips and enjoyed camping with the tent on top of the truck. And then to free the truck up, I decided to buy a utility trailer and mount the tent on top of that trailer, and I did that. And last weekend I spent a few days in Gonzales City Park with the rooftop tent on top of that trailer, and it worked out really good. I enjoyed that. Then my son Jonathan came to spend the weekend with me out there, and he brought a hammock with him. He was introducing me to hammock camping, and so I slept 2 nights in the hammock and I loved it so much I decided to buy one, and that's what I have with me today. I'm going to deploy the hammock and show you how it works. So I'm looking forward to this experience. I'm going to first walk through the woods and down the nature trail to find a good spot to enter into the woods, and then I'll set my hammock up and the rain fly, and this is going to be a great day to try this out because we're expecting 20% rain, and I do want to camp in the hammock with the rain fly in the rain, so I might get my chance after all. So come and enjoy this with me. Well, it looks like someone has been camping here before. I found evidence of a fire pit where they dug a hole in the ground here and built them a fire. And also, see where they walked off and left a couple of their gratings for the fire. Nice little things that they shouldn't have walked away from. This could be a good place. However, it just seems very low, and if it's going to rain tonight, I don't want this area filling up with water with me in it. I'll keep looking for a higher spot. Well, I found a good high spot. It's just not off the trail very far. It may be too close to the trail, but it's going to require a little clearing out. But it's so dense back in here, I don't think anyone from the trail would be able to see me in here. I'll walk out to the trail and see what it looks like. Well, I think I found a good place. It offers a lot of concealment, tall trees, a lot of pine. The floor is just littered with pine needles, so that's a good thing. So I think I'm not too far from the trail. I cannot see it from here, but there's so much undergrowth in this area. This could be a perfect place to pitch my hammock and go incognito on this trip. So it's time now for me to walk back out and know where I Need to walk back in and then go to the truck and get my gear and set up for the night. So let's go do it. Well, I didn't plan ahead to bring a backpack. Of course, I didn't know I was going to have a hammock tonight either. So I've got a bag full of stuff that I'm going to carry in the woods. At least I'll have a coffee pot, some coffee. I'll be able to make a fire, a small fire, just enough to warm some water and have some hot coffee. And so now it's time to walk into that area and set up my hammock. I've reached the area of the woods that I'm going to consider as my base camp. It's a nice secluded place. It's on high ground. The floor is just covered with pine needles and leaves, so it's going to be a very comfortable place to stay. No mud to speak of. There's been a few mosquitoes buzzing me, but I've got my mosquito net on, and I'll be sleeping under a mosquito mesh tonight with my hammock, so that ought to be okay. But now I'm going to go through the process of setting up my hammock. Hammock is that you don't have to have ground that is level or free of rocks or free of limbs or whatever. So here's a situation where this is a good tree I'll use for one end of the hammock, and this is the other tree that I'll use. And I notice that on the ground there's just a lot of logs, a lot of twigs, a lot of debris, and I'm not going to disturb it at all. I'll be right on top of that. This one little tree that is not quite in the way, but a limb may be in the way. I might take off one limb, maybe two limbs, but I'm not going to mess with that tree at all either. So the first step is to put the straps onto the tree that'll hold the hammock. The hammock that I chose to buy is the Hennessy Expedition ASIM Zip. That's a lot of words. The ASIM stands for asymmetrical because it's not a symmetrical hammock where it'd make you lay in there like a banana. You can lay diagonal in that hammock for a flatter, restful sleep. And the zip means that this has got a zipper the full length of the hammock. The old hammocks, or you can still get hammocks that open from the bottom with ziplock, with Velcro. But I didn't want one of those. I wanted one with a zipper. So I'll take the contents out. Now it all fits right in here. The last thing that I put in here was the first thing I need to take out, and that's going to be my webbing and my carabiners with climbing loops, climbing rings to hook onto the tree. I'll show you how that works. This suspension that I bought is by Hammock, and it is the Python 15, which means it's 15 feet long. And something that's patented and unique about it is that it's 1.5 inches where it goes around the tree to protect the tree, and then it goes down to 3/4 of an inch to go to your hammock. Because you don't need an inch and a half to go to the hammock. Also, this being 15 feet long, your trees can be further apart, and once you get it where you want it, you cinch it up. I might have to raise it or lower it in a moment, but all along the way there's some 60 something or 30 on this rope and 30 on the other are sewn openings to where you can hook your carabiner anywhere you'd like to. So just presently I'm going to hook it in the first one and lay it down and go hook the other one up on the other tree. Now that I've got both straps on both of the trees, I go back to my bag, and the next thing that's going to come out is the hammock. Now the way I put the hammock in, I put the middle of the hammock in the bag first, so that means the ends of the hammock are in the bag last, and I can take them out first when I'm ready. So here are the ends of the strings for the end of the hammock. So I'll take one. The climbing rings that I have on my carabiner, I'll pass it through once. I'll come back through, but not all the way. I'll just come through one of them. And now this will allow me to cinch it up, but it'll allow the hammock to be taut on the rings. So I will take the rest of the hammock out of the bag and go to the other end. Well, as you can see, I've got the support straps deployed. I've got the hammock strung up there. I've not taken the what's called snake skins. It's the material that's covering the hammock right now. It assists you in putting it back in the sack, and it assists you in taking it out and putting it up. The instructions say don't get your hammock 18 inches above the ground or more. They recommend leaving it 18 inches off the ground, but in the woods out here at night, there's no telling what might pass under my hammock during the night, so I've got mine a real nifty 4 feet off the floor. And if I need to raise it some, I'll raise it some, but we'll just see what happens. So now I'm going to take the snake skin off of the hammock and show you how to deploy the hammock and the rain fly. Now you get a good look at the hammock with the mosquito mesh on top of it, and I can see that the zipper is on the other side, so I'm going to turn it around so the zipper is on this side. The hammock up in the suspension system, I've got the snake skins pulled back. I've taken the one line on each side of the hammock and put a tent stake in the ground to bring the width of it out to give you more room inside the hammock. The rain fly, I have taken one end of the rain fly and tied it off to a tree so I can get air under here. If it was going to be cold and windy, you would want that to go down, and it'd be easy just to hook this end of the rain fly on this part of the hammock, and it would then seal off any air getting into the hammock. Before I anchor and secure this side of the rain fly, I want to take it off here for a moment and show you the hammock itself, the zipper system. This is the way you enter the hammock. You can throw the bug shield back and there's your hammock. And you should always test the hammock to make sure that the straps are going to be holding before you try to go to sleep in it. So we're just going to sit down on it. Well, I've got my hammock secure. I sat down on it. I'm glad I didn't have the camera rolling when I did. I forgot to tie back knots on my climbing rings, and I just went right to the ground. But I knew exactly what the problem was. So I pushed things up the tree, I tied it off, I secured it real well, pulled out both sides of the rain fly so we get maximum ventilation through the bug net tonight. And so now I'm getting ready to start working on a fire and make me some coffee. Well, I've got my first cup of coffee. It's nice and hot. A little bit of fire is all we needed to get that water to boil. So I've got water boiling for one more cup of coffee, and then I'm going to put out the fire and cover it up, and as though I'd never been there before. was about 6 o'clock. I just crawled into the hammock to see what it was going to feel like, hoping there's wind that'll blow through the mesh tonight. I think it's supposed to get down to 71, but it's really comfortable out here, and it's really spacious inside this hammock. I'll show you around. That's the rain fly that's opened up so that wind can come through this mesh. The mesh is quite large. I aired up the air mattress, the red one, just lightly, just to see what it was going to feel like and if I would like sleeping in it. And inside the tent is a mesh pocket that you can put things in. I've got the charger for my phone, I've got my pistol, and then back up here I've got a little lantern hanging, and then I've got my hat hanging up here. So a lot of neat little conveniences inside this hammock. And I've got everything outside the hammock underneath the rain fly, so if it did rain during the night, everything would be protected. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock in the evening. It's getting dark outside, and it's been a good day. It's been a good experience putting up this hammock and adjusting it and making sure everything's working perfectly, but it is. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep, and I'll see you in the morning. Good night. Good morning. I made the night just fine. It was kind of cool. It's a good thing that I had a coat with me to cover up my arms with, but it was beautiful. When it gets a little later in the summer, it won't be as cool at night as it is now. Well, I'm breaking camp this morning. I'm putting everything in my knapsack to take it out, and then I'll fold up the hammock and the sleeping pad and be on my way to the truck. It doesn't take very long at all to take down a hammock, probably 5 minutes from the time you begin to unstake it and roll it up on itself and then pull those snake skins together. It just really makes it nice to have everything in a package like this, and that way when you go to put it in the bag, it's all neat, compact, and very easy to take out next time you need it. So that's the next thing, is to stick it in the bag.